Continuing Discourses on Livy by Machiavelli. Now, in a previous video, I talked about cities fertile and sterile. Sterile lands, people are more united, more industrious, less idle, and there's less cause of discord, there's less chance of attack because there's no resources in that land. Fertile lands, there's more resources or abundance of resources. Men are less industrious and more idle, and the establishment of laws need to take place in a fertile land because of that notion, and it's more susceptible to attacks, so it does need to defend itself. And I brought up a modern day example of this where a country may attack another country for resources, and that was the Iraq War. We went to Iraq to get oil fields, or if you wanted a different example, the war that Iraq and Kuwait had, it was an obvious, land grab of resources of the oil fields back in Desert Storm. So I continue with Chapter 2, which is all of the kinds of republics there are, and of which the Roman Republic was the Roman Republic. All right, scrambling of words here. Now, he talks about the monarchy, the aristocracy, and the democracy, of three types of governments that countries should choose, or cities should choose. And of these three, there is a drawback to these three. And he states that the monarchy easily becomes a tyranny, and the aristocracy easily becomes an oligarchy, and the democracy easily becomes anarchy. And it is seen right here of what he actually said in this text. So that makes sense, right? You have bad forms of government, and the purest form of government is not going to last, right? Because you're going to get overthrows. The government's going to become stale. Succession of kings, you're going to have succession of kings. Say the first king was great, second king not so great, third king psychopath. In a democracy, may turn into anarchy. They don't like the laws, they don't like, so on and so forth. So that's the point he's trying to make here. Now we go to the second page, which is page 8. I shouldn't say second page, but next page. And he talks about down here that you should have a form of democracy, aristocracy, and principality to make it stable. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? I'll get to that in a moment. So the biggest thing I take from here is that he says right here is so that those who make laws prudently, having to recognize the defects of each and avoiding every one of these forms by itself alone, they select one form that should partake of all. They judging it to be more firm and stable, because when there is the same city government, a principality, aristocracy, and a popular government or democracy, one watches another, or one watches the other. So what does that sound like to you? That sounds like the United States. That really does sound like the United States. And I'm going to go and fast forward to the part where he talks about Rome. So he talks about Rome right here and how it was set up. And then in chapter 3, he talks about how Rome was made more perfect. And down here, he talks about, the Tarquins, which were overthrown or driven out, were a stability to the plebs and the nobles in Rome. So they needed a substitute. So what they got as a substitute were tribunes. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. Tribunes. And what was that to remedy? Well, that was to remedy the confusions, the tumultuous situations, and the troubles that arose from plebs and nobility. Can you imagine? Gawking back and forth, and the nobility have more power, so they're going to trump the plebs or the people, plebs or people. So tribunes, let's see here. They came to the security of the plebs, to the creation of the tribunes, the nobles, and they were given so much preeminence and so much reputation that they then should always be able to be in the middle between the plebs and the Senate, plebs and the nobles. So right there he talks about the Roman Empire. He talks about how the Romans had it. And it's just great how he talks about this, because it's just like the United States, how it formed and how it works right now.